Good morning, friends. It's been a while since I've talked to you, so it seems. I don't know why, but for some reason it feels like a very long time since I last talked to you. And I know it hasn't been that long, but even if I skip a few weeks, it just feels like a long time. But yeah, today, as you saw by the title, I'm gonna just sit here and talk to you a little bit about last year, the new year, some goals that I have, some new year resolutions, if you want to call it that. I'm not a person who always has like huge big goals and resolutions, but I like to have a few goals here and there and try to accomplish it. And I think it's good to have some goals in our life because that means we can actually get somewhere, right? So me and Jomiahs are going to try and film this video here. I first had thought I would be able to film it while he was sleeping, but he was up before I got around to it, so he's gonna join me here. But yeah, I just scrolled through my camera roll this morning and just kind of looking back at last year and seeing what all happened and just reflecting on the things that did happen. For those of you that are not new here, you might remember that last year, in the beginning of the year, I made a goal to read through 6 books this year. I actually made it. I am kind of proud of myself, like, oh, I did it. Because if you know me, you know I am not a reader whatsoever. I do read my Bible, my devotion. I try to do that every morning, but reading any book, like if it's a storybook, yeah, I can get through that in a couple of weeks, but if it's a self-developing book, it just takes a lot more effort for me. It just takes me a long time to go through a book. It might not hurt to show you what actually I did read, so I will quickly go get those books. Okay, so I got the books here that I did read through. I don't know if I will have them in order because I don't remember exactly which one I read first. I think I did this one first. Hard is not the same thing as bad. I really enjoyed this book. It was very popular at the time. I don't see people talking about it as much right now because it was kind of a new book in the beginning of the year, I think. So anyways, and then I read through this again, Created to be his helpmeet. That's the English version of this. Geschaffen seine Gehilfin zu sein. I had read this before, but I just figured it might be a good idea to kind of refreshen my mind. And I always find a book like this challenging because you see so many areas that you could improve in, but at the same time, I know it is very good for me. Yeah. But at the same time, I know it's very good for me to challenge myself and to remind myself to be the best helpmeet that I can. From the same author, Debbie and Michael Pearl, I also read this book, To Train Up a Child. I know this is a little bit of a controversial book. I did enjoy this book. Not that I would recommend going step by step of how he is teaching, but I think he has a lot of good ideas, a lot of good pointers. So I actually enjoyed this book. But that is the goal for this next year also, to do a little bit more parenting books, child training books. And then I read this. This is actually a very small book, What We Need. That's the title of it, Was wir brauchen. This book I got at a Bible school years ago when I went to a Bible school. And I believe it is Galatians, or is it Ephesians, where this book is from. It's anyways from the Apostle Paul, a lot of his teachings and just what he says, what we need, and there's lots of good thoughts in this book as well. I read through that, and I believe this in 2 months. I'm pretty sure. So this I talked about earlier in one of my videos. Glaube ist kein Gefühl. In other words, faith is not a feeling. A very good book, actually. So these 2 books I actually both enjoyed. And this book was a gift from my sister, Serving Together, and it is actually a really good book. I enjoyed it. And especially if your husband is in a ministry or especially a school teacher, this book has lots of good thoughts and ideas on how to serve together, because sometimes it's more so the husbands that do the public serving, but then there is a huge role that we as wives can play into serving as well. So that was a very good read. And the last book that I did read this year, was this Getting Along with People God's Ways by John Koblenz. And I actually enjoyed this more than I thought, because I remember this from Bible school as well. It was, it is worth reading, but I think at the time my English wasn't as good, so I had a hard time understanding, and I actually really enjoyed this book when I read through it this time. And yeah, just lots of good ideas how to get along with people the way God wants us to. And so yeah, those are the books that I did read through. I think I showed all of them to you. So that was a goal for 2024. I did finish it. I feel very good that I did. It was a challenge, but I did finish it. So let's talk about the rest of last year. Looking back, it was a really good year, a busy year. A lot of things happened last year. And as I said earlier, I was scrolling through my camera roll just to kind of reflect on what all happened last year. And so first, the year started in Mexico. We went to Mexico over Christmas and New Year's. So we got home, I don't even remember, middle of January maybe. That's when we got back. And since just a few weeks before we left for Mexico, we had moved into this house. So I had lots more organizing and cleaning to do. So that was kind of part of my winter projects. I just did lots of cleaning, lots of organizing. If you've been following along, you know all of that. I also did paint the living room here. That was one more winter project I did. Then also I started all my flowers, all my plants from seed last year. That was a journey that I really enjoyed. And that was something very exciting for me and something that I actually really, really enjoyed. So that all happened. That was a lot of work, but yeah. And then looking back at pictures where Jomiahs was so much smaller, which I cannot believe. It was only a couple months ago, it seems like. And then looking back at how small Jomiahs was at that time, he wasn't even walking at that point. It just blows my mind. Where did time go? Where did my little baby go? Like, I just cannot. I cannot even go into that too deep, because it actually, I kind of get depressed and emotional thinking of how fast time goes by. But that's why I think it's good to do that, because it makes you realize to not take any moment for granted and to enjoy every moment as much as possible. So, and then he had his first birthday in April. That was a good time. And then right around the spring-ish time, another really big life change happened. I don't think I ever talked about it on here. And that was my husband got elected as a pastor at our church here. And if you don't know, usually our churches would have an election and just kind of elect whoever they feel God is leading them to. And so that was a huge life change, but also something that we felt God calling us to. So yeah, you want to show the book? So you don't be easy? So yeah, I don't think I ever mentioned that, but that was also life-changing in a lot of ways. That also has been taking up time, and especially of Johnny when he's home in the evenings and he has to prepare for his messages. Obviously that takes away some family time, which it is a sacrifice in some ways, but also I am very, very proud of him, and I do want to serve with him, alongside of him, as good as I can. And so that was another big thing that happened last year. Johnny's grandma died. That was the last grandparent that he had, so that was also something that happened. And obviously that changes life too, not as much for us as for his mom and dad and closer family, but you think about it. You think about that she's not here anymore, right? So, and then also I did lots and lots of yard cleanup throughout the year. Since we just moved in here during the winter, we had lots of yard cleanup to do. And then my parents visited in the month of May, I believe it was. So that was so exciting, because that was the first time they were able to visit us since we moved to Canada. So that was really exciting to have them here for a week. And then they helped me put in the garden for some of it. It was a very cool spring, so I was late with my garden, but yeah, and also putting in my garden. I had quite the big garden, so that kept me busy during the summer. Yeah. And then in July, we made a quick trip to Mexico. My sister got married, and we're fortunate enough that we were able to quickly make a trip and be there for their special day, which was super exciting. And right around that time, I had a cousin who passed away in a car accident. So that was also something that shook all of us up a little bit and made us realize to not take life for granted. We know he is in a better place. He left behind a very strong testimony. His life was inspiring for so many people. But at the same time, we still, even knowing that he is in a better place, losing a loved one is never easy, and it wasn't easy for the family. And even during this Christmas season, you get reminded of it, especially that there is a empty chair and he is not there. So yeah, that was one more thing that happened. And then obviously lots of canning. I did quite a bit of canning this year, which I enjoyed as well. And I think I did some yard cleanup all throughout the summer. It felt like I never got done, seemed like, because we do have quite a bigger yard than we used to have. If you don't know, we live on a 2.5 acre lot. It is in town, but we have quite a big yard, so it takes a lot to keep after it. And especially Johnny is really busy during summer and harvest, so he doesn't have a lot of time to work on the yard. So it's basically me trying to keep it up. Obviously lots of that. And then obviously once fall rolls around, there's lots of prep for winter, cleaning up the garden, making sure everything is cleaned up for the winter and all of that. And then we did get lots and lots of snow before Christmas even, which is, sometimes there would be a little bit of snow before Christmas and then it would melt one more time or whatever. But this time, whenever we did get snow, it was a huge dump. And we have had snow ever since. It has not melted. It hasn't warmed up whatsoever. So yeah, we've had a very cold winter so far, it seems, with lots and lots of snow, which is fine. And then Christmas rolled around. We didn't go to Mexico as we usually do for Christmas. A lot of it had to do because we're expecting our second baby. We didn't feel like traveling that so close to my due date. I'm due in February, beginning of February, so we stayed here, but we did make a trip to Alberta, southern Alberta. It was good to see at least some family. Johnny has a sister there. Recently, one of my sisters moved to Alberta, so we have some family there now. And then obviously more extended family. Uncles, aunts, and cousins. It's always good to see them as well. So that was our Christmas basically. We spent it in Alberta, and it was actually really nice because Saskatchewan stayed quite cold over Christmas. Or I say cold, not cold compared to what it is now, but it was still cold. And then Alberta, we had plus temperatures, which was a nice little break. Right now we've had 20 minus, 30 minus for quite a few days again, and it just kind of gets to you because whenever you go outside, it just kind of hits you in the face like, oh boy, this is cold. And whenever it warms up to -2, -3 or whatever, it is actually quite nice because you can actually walk out and not kind of be hit in the face with this extreme cold. If you've been here, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, that was nice to have a little bit of a milder Christmas. Okay, let's move on to the New Year goals. I didn't make a huge list. I just thought about it a little bit and figured I would not be too hard on myself. If you know me at all, you know whenever I make goals or make a to-do list or plans or anything like that, it's really hard for me to change it or to not overdo it just because I want to reach that goal. I know it's sometimes not a good thing, but I can be pretty stubborn if I made myself a goal to kind of stick to it, which sometimes it is a good thing, but sometimes it's not. It's really important to be flexible in life, and I'm learning. I'm really trying to learn that. And especially with little kids in my life, I need to be more flexible and kind of be okay with it if not every goal or not every plan gets fulfilled. So the first and the biggest one for me that I told Johnny as well is my personal relationship with God. I know we talk about growing spiritually and all of that very often, but the personal connection, the personal relationship with God or with Jesus personally is something that I feel like I personally neglected it. And when I mean personal relationship, I mean to just have him kind of act like he is a friend in my life that I can just talk to, and not just talk to him kneeling down in prayer, but just throughout the day, just tell him how you feel, tell him what you're doing. And I know it's a lot easier to just pray for something that we need or want instead of just telling him how we feel or just walking with him throughout our day. I hope I make sense, but that is something I really want to work on, to just be connected and to have this connection all throughout the day and not just during my devotional time or during weekends when we go to church or things like that. Like just constantly forward. Uh-oh. Okay, I had to leave for a little bit. But in short, just growing my personal relationship and whatever that means for you. For me, it's more so having a conversation and be connected throughout the whole day and just have conversations and to be able to draw closer to him. That is one thing that I really want to focus on this year. And then my next goal, I know this is maybe silly and a lot of you will probably do this already, and it's really important to do this, and I used to do this, and that is greeting my husband at the door when he comes home from work. I used to do this all the time until we moved into this house, and I'm going to tell you why I stopped. And so I always told Johnny, one day I want a door with the number lock so that I don't have to come and unlock the door every time you want to come in, or whenever we get home we don't have to remember a key. And so that is a really nice thing that this house had. We can unlock our front door with just the number and we don't have to remember the key, which is really nice. And I don't know if you are this way, but if I'm home alone and just working inside, I always have my door locked. And mostly because if somebody knocks at the door and I know the door is unlocked and I know they can just open the door and walk in, it just doesn't feel very safe. So I know they can come in if they want to, but at least I would hear it, right? So anyways, so whenever we moved into this house, it was so nice that Johnny was able to let himself in. He didn't have to have a key on him. And that's when I've kind of lost that I actually dropped whatever I was doing and walked up to him and greeted him with a hug or a kiss or whatever. And that is something that I really want to do again this year. I need to do this. I know this is very important to do that. And so I just figured, you know what better way than making a goal for the new year to do that? Because I've tried and I've thought about it many times. Oh, today, you know what? Today I really want to drop whatever I'm doing and go to the door and greet him. Guess what? I forget, or I'm in another room and I get busy, and whenever Jomiahs hears that he's coming home, he's just so excited, and I guess that's part of it as well. He's always there first before me to greet him. And so, but I still want to do that. So if you are not doing it, you can feel free to do that with me. Make that a New Year's thing. If not, that's totally fine. I know a lot of people, or a lot of women do that, and I admire that. And then, as I said, I was scrolling through my camera roll, and it just kind of hurts my heart to see how fast Jomiahs is growing up. And knowing that we will soon have 2 little ones, and how fast time is going by, I do want to be very intentional with my time and try to spend more time with them, teaching them, and just taking time playing with them or holding them or whatever it is. Just spending time and enjoying every moment, because it's unreal how fast time goes by. I know everybody says that, but sometimes if you just sit down and just kind of start to reflect and think, it's actually kind of eye-opening and scary at the same time. That being said, I also made it a goal to not have too big of a garden this year. I do want to have a garden, but just whatever time allows, whenever time allows. And I want to try and be very gentle on myself to not have too many expectations of what I want to do this year. I still haven't decided if I will start any seeds or if I will just start some. I'm kind of hoping that I will be able to at least start my flowers from seed again, just because it's really expensive to buy them, and I do have this huge flower bed and are along the fence there that I would really like to plant up with some flowers at least. But I want to try and be very intentional and not plan for too much, because I know life is going to change big time. I know life is going to get busier, and it's just a season of life. And I know that later on, when my children are older, I will be able to do all those things that I really enjoy, like for instance seed starting and having a huge garden and lots of flowers. I know a time will come when I will have more time for that, so I just need to be more intentional of not trying to do everything. And as I said earlier, we are busier at church as we used to be. There's events to plan, there's more things going on there as well. So just trying to be very intentional, spend more time with the children, and then not overdoing it. And especially during the summer when there's so many other things to do, like keeping up the yard and all the things, just trying to keep my workload as light as possible, if that makes sense. Regarding reading, I'm not going to make it a goal to read through 6 books this next year, because I do know it takes up quite a bit of time. And since I do have my personal devotional as well, I'm just going to stick to that for now, and then maybe make it a goal to read through 3 books, and more maybe either marriage books or parenting books, and just have 3 instead of 6, and that gives me plenty of time. Because last year when I did 6 books, I usually had to read about 6 pages a day, which is not a lot. But if you do your personal devotional, the Bible and whatever first, and your journal, and then you want to read through 6 pages yet, it sometimes was really hard to stick to it, because you really needed to get maybe the laundry going or something else. And so that's why I figured, you know what, if I maybe made it a goal to do 3 books that gave me even more time. I could maybe read 3 pages a day, or maybe there's seasons when I have more time of reading, and then I have maybe months where I will barely do any reading besides my Bible. And so, yeah, that is some of my thoughts and goals and whatever you want to call it for the new year, and kind of just reflecting on last year. And I don't want to forget to say how grateful I am the way God walked us through last year. It was, there was hard times, there was good times, there was challenging times, but seeing God's grace through all of it, and knowing that his grace and his help is there again for this coming year, no matter what's going to come. We don't know, but he's already there. He knows. He's ready to walk it with us, and let's take him up on that. Let's walk the new year with him and thank him for all the good things that he's doing for us, and trust him in the not so easy times or challenging times. So, okay, I will go now. I feel like I have been talking for a long time, and I will end the video here. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that your new year started off great, and I hope that you have an amazing new year. And don't forget to trust in the Lord, whatever comes. Trust in him, and he will walk us through no matter what. Jomiahs is listening to a song. I will actually leave the link for that song in the description box. I have it pretty quiet because I didn't want to get copyrighted, but he can't have a lot of screen time, but I just really wanted to finish this video, so I knew if I would put that song on, I would be able to finish this video. So I find it very interesting that that is his favorite thing to watch. It's just a music video of, I will leave the link in the description box if you want to check out his favorite song. He has more music videos that he really enjoys, but that's one of them. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you enjoyed my little chat, and I will see you next time. Bye.